Hello, pretty princesses. I'm just going to share a little lesson the Lord just showed me. I've been dealing with the medical health industry. I have got 2 different sets of claims that I just can't get resolved. I call the insurance company and I tell them the doctor says they have submitted the claim, and they look at their system and they go, "It's not what I see in my system." And then I call the doctor and I tell them what the insurance company has said, and they say, well, my system says that it's been submitted, so that's not what my system says. And then I call the insurance company about the emergency room bills at the hospital for my husband. And I say, the hospital says that you've denied the claims. And they look at it and they go, well, that's not what my system says. And then I call the insurance company and I say, well, this is what the doctor's office says. And they go, guess what they say? That's not what my system says. And as I'm stewing, as I am fuming, all of a sudden, God just drops one right on me. And he says, you know what? That's what you do every day. And I said, what? He says, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I don't like what I see. I'm too fat. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too old. Or maybe you are saying, I'm not good enough. I don't like who I am. And I'm never going to amount to anything. And you know what God says to us when we say that? He goes, it's not what it says in my system. When we say, I need somebody, I need a man in my life, I need someone else to show that I'm valuable and prove to me that I'm worthwhile. He looks and he goes, I'm sorry, but that's not what it says in my system. Because, you see, we've been raised in another system, the world system. And the world says you're supposed to be about as big as your pinky. The world says you're supposed to be perfectly symmetrical. You should be absolutely beautiful at all times. And if not, people have the right to, well, condemn you for it. Just see what happens when a celebrity puts on a little weight. It's almost as if people think that they have a right for everyone who crosses their eyesight to be absolutely beautiful. And if not, they can rail against them. We live in a society who makes money on the fact that we are discontented. In other words, if we're happy with ourselves, we won't buy makeup, we won't buy diet products, we won't buy things. And the system we've been raised in looks at us and we say, well, I'm okay. And they go, not according to my system, that's not what it says. So you see, you have the Father who looks at you and says, my system says you're absolutely beautiful. You're right on target, right with the design that I made for you. You are amazing. And more importantly, you're my daughter, so I might be a little bit biased, but I think you're wonderful. You are beautiful, and I love you, and I want to be with you all the time. And so that's what his system says. The world says, does not compute, does not compute. So you are at some point going to have to say, which system am I going to listen to? Which system is going to give me an accurate view of who I am? Because if you're willing to base it on society, then every time society changes their mind, you have to change who you are and your value of yourself. But you see, God, He knows exactly who you are. He knows how you are. He knows you intimately. And yet He says you are perfect. You are without flaw in His eyes. So I'm telling you right now, you need to make a decision. Whose system are you going to listen to? And for those of you who were told by parents, whether through words or actions, that you just weren't enough, that you needed to be more, you needed to do more, you needed to earn their love or their respect or whatever it is, let me tell you right now, chances are they were probably broken too. So if you are going by the feelings you got from how your parents raised you and what they said, then you're going to need to ignore those feelings. It's as if you were kidnapped from the kingdom of heaven and taken into a world where all the values were screwed up and they told you you weren't worth anything and you weren't good enough. But then you were rescued, you were ransomed back by the Prince of the kingdom where you were born. And he brought you back and they had to say, well, man, we've got to unbrainwash her because everything she's learned about herself is false. She doesn't know she is a princess. She doesn't know she's the daughter of the Most High King. She doesn't know she's the fiancée of the Prince of Peace. And that's exactly who you are. So make up your mind today. When someone says you're not enough, when you hear it in the back of your mind, when you hear Satan railing against you, when you hear other people saying you're not enough, then just go ahead and check the system. I'm sorry. That's not what it says in my system. My system says I am loved and beautiful and flawless. And I think there's something wrong with your system.